I would say to any entrepreneur, even once you know what your year's plan is, you should always have someone in the organization who is on edge and always thinking about what the next big thing needs to be. Because unless you're creating, I think there's a danger zone.
That ability to pivot is something that most entrepreneurs don't have. They get rigid. They have this false understanding of never quit. You have to oftentimes alter your plan in order to accomplish the big goal. I remember too, years back when The Passion came out, you were really savvy on understanding that there was going to be an audience who wanted to understand this at a deeper level. And so you guys came out with a book to help provide and fill that in. And that sold like crazy, didn't it?
It did. And Dave, this really is maybe, and again, I don't want this to sound like a boast, but this was a top 5 moment in Ascension history. Someone invited me to see a screening of the movie about a month before the movie came out, maybe 2 months. So I flew up to Minnesota, St. Paul, Minneapolis. I saw the movie and I had a 3-hour drive to La Crosse because that's where our home office and our distribution was based. And during that 3-hour call, I dictated 60 or 70 questions to someone over the phone for that 100-question book.
Wow, that's fast.
Myself and another person, we took about 3 hours. He took notes and I dictated. He came up with his own ideas, and we fashioned a book idea on that 3-hour drive. I think it was 3 to 4 weeks later, it was out the door. And the evangelical world was already responding in spades to the Passion movie, and there was no Catholic response. So there was build-up tension in the Catholic world. And Dave, the upshot of all of it is that when we released the book, I think on Ash Wednesday, or 2 days before Ash Wednesday, within that first week, we sold 140,000 copies. A Catholic bestseller is 10,000 copies 10 years ago. Now it's probably 7,000 copies. And we then proceeded over the next 13.
By the way, for perspective, for people who don't understand, you can make the New York Times bestseller list with about 15,000 copies now of any type of book that comes out. So there's like 10 times the level of that in your first week.
Yes, and I actually sat down with the president of Doubleday. He told me, so this was a good number of years ago, 2004 or 5, that it was 30,000 at the time. So it makes sense that it might be 15,000 now because it's harder to sell books now. So anyhow, we did 140,000 books in that first week. And over the next 10 weeks, we translated it into 6 languages. And we sold about 600,000 hard copies and 400,000 licensed all around the world. Dave, we had another 5 or 6 books that were being released that season, but we moved them to September of the next season because they got no attention. And so it really was a great moment. And but there was a bigger point maybe, and that is maybe your first question, or one of your first questions, is that at Ascension, we just kind of looked at the world all the time, as I shared with you about looking at the billboards and seeing how they relate to Catholicism. So we were always plugged in. And when I heard about the Passion movie happening, along with the Da Vinci Code and along with a few other things, Chronicles of Narnia, we knew they were coming. We responded quickly. And I would say to any entrepreneur, even once you know what your year's plan is, you should always have someone, I think, in the organization who is on edge and always thinking about what the next big thing needs to be. Because unless you're creating, I think there's a danger zone. So that was one of the things that was a great success.
Yeah.
The Passion book.
And it's a great bookend. It's a great bookend topic to say COVID created, as the mother of invention is necessity, right? It created necessity. You saw that coming and you transformed the organization for the better in many different ways. And so that's like a negative observation and circumstance it's forced change, basically.
Yeah.
The book about the Passion was not forced change, but that was change you're forcing upon yourself. That is to say, we have a plan. We have a bunch of books coming out. We've got a bunch of products that are coming out. We can just stay the course. No. We're going to pivot. We see something, we're taking advantage of it, and we're going to move things. And I think that ability to pivot is something that most entrepreneurs don't have. They get rigid and they have this false understanding of never quit. And you have to oftentimes alter your plan in order to accomplish the big goal, and you did it brilliantly in that. So one of the sections we talk about here is spinning your tires. And it's a little bit different than when you ran into COVID and you have enemies at the gate and challenges. It's just like one of these things where you just feel like you're never getting traction. Have you faced times like that? Because entrepreneurs they're in that mode way more, and they think they're alone. They don't realize that other entrepreneurs are experiencing it all the time. What has been that for you?
Sure. Yeah, I'm sure many times you kind of forget all the things that and all the sacrifices and all the struggles. I jokingly said that it's a little bit, I'm sure, like a woman who gives birth, and at the time it's intense, but then evidently they seem to forget the pain an hour or two later. So I forget a lot of those things from the past. But I got to tell you, I have an example that just happened in the past month of, so I'm launching a new entity, the Genesis Group, this Catholic venture capital. And from like early November until December 31st, basically, we were circling the airport just waiting for our legal documents. And there were other things that we could do, but we really couldn't do anything. I couldn't really speak to potential LPs because I couldn't consummate those transactions because I didn't have the paperwork. So I got to tell you, here's how I resolved it in my head and heart, and then operationally. In my head and heart, I just said, I'm going to choose to be at peace here. We're doing everything, in my view, Lord, we're doing everything right now, so there's nothing I can do. And then Thanksgiving and Christmas were also coming at that time, so there's nothing I can do. Operationally, what we did is we just pivoted on our cash burn. We just lowered our expenses, and because I knew that, we could get certain things done, but there were other things we just couldn't get done. So this is very apropos because I just came out of, literally 10 days ago, the spinning of the wheels. And the reason why I've been excited for the past 7 to 10 days is the horse is now out of the gate and I can go, God willing, do my thing now. But I just came out of this, Dave, this very spinning the wheels. In fact, I was using those very words, spinning the wheels, to a few friends and my wife, probably, half dozen times over the past month.
Yeah, I mean, that type of circumstance, I always tell you that one of the differences between leaders that really lead at a high level, giants that is, versus like kind of the nano mentality, is that leaders are patient in all things but wait for nothing. And when you have something like that that's happening, there's still an undercurrent of work that you were doing so that by the time the tires stop spinning, you were able to hit that ground running in that 10 days and getting all those ducks in a row and ready to go. And being productive in other ways. But there is a time where patience is just thing. You have to endure it. You have to endure some difficult things, and in essence, build your character while you're productive doing things you didn't expect or anticipate doing because you wanted to do something else. So it's a good point. Hey there, Giant. Thanks for watching Durand On Demand. I need your help with something. The world desperately needs more giants. You know it, and I know it. We've been around a lot of people struggling, figuring out how to make things go. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this with as many people as you can. We're going to build this audience, and we're going to help people slay dragons together.